To the alchemist, all things are first a product of mentalism, before they are anything else. In other words, all things are an expression of consciousness, before they are themselves the things they become. The all is mind. With that said, there is an inexpensive, clever, and easy way to aggregate positive intent and store it for later use, or to be used as a simple recharge station or generator for your other cognitive thought forms. I call it the Reservoir of Positive Intent, or RPI. How do you do it? Well, like all things alchemical, it begins first with one's perspective. Most do not realize the small silent treasure that is freely dispensed or discarded every minute of every day in America. It is the penny. Pennies represent more than merely a cent or an increment of $1. They represent a fractionalization of real power within the world. This has been made possible by virtue of the fact that the U.S. currency is regulated by fiat, meaning it's worth whatever the Federal Reserve says it's worth relative to the conditions of the economy, and our faith that this will remain relatively stable for the foreseeable future. This volatility relative to the nature of our currency and the fact that it is now directly tied to human consciousness and human activities rather than being based upon a real object or thing, like gold or silver, which could be traded instead of or exchanged for paper, coins, or currency, this has imbued our fiat currency with extraordinary alchemical potential. Why? Because no conscious judgment can be placed upon generic currency. $1 is $1, or a penny. What you do with it is up to you. This is far superior to a barter system, wherein a third party could infect the exchange with negative consciousness, merely by stating the opinion in the negative. Wow, I can't believe that you bought that insert valuable item here for that other thing, whatever it was they exchanged for the item in question. Better still, Jack, I can't believe you traded our cow for a handful of magic beans. In Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack's otherwise savvy purchase of 5 magic beans for a cow was now seen as pure stupidity, instantly stealing all worth or value from the beans, until they actually became a beanstalk, which still only had the value of a rather questionable means of conveyance, and a limited one at that. With cash, it's merely numbers and degrees of measurable force. So while a single penny is essentially worthless, 100 pennies begins to gain marginal traction. 500 pennies is the cost of a decent cup of coffee. Measured in the hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions, pennies represent an incredible amount of force, if not weight, not unlike the accumulation of 100,000 million billion snowflakes. In the right position, those pennies could form an avalanche of intent that would be very effective at a later date. Regardless, no one will pass judgment on you for your purchasing decisions, except perhaps the store owner dealing with your thousands of pennies, because at the end of the day, money is just money, and in alchemical terms, and in pretty much everywhere else, money equals power. So what is so unique about pennies beyond the fact that they are our only currency measured and minted in copper? And yes, I understand that pennies today are using zinc with a copper finish, but because of the copper finish, to the sight and sensation and to consciousness, they still evoke copper, and therefore, to the alchemist working with consciousness, they might as well be copper. Pennies are special because people willingly give this power away without a single thought. We have penny jars and trays at almost every cash register across the country. This is considered both a courtesy and a convenience, but never once does anyone give thought to the effect on consciousness. What happens if you elect to ride this tide of goodwill and gratitude? Can you use it to create something more? Yes, you can. This is how to create the cognitive thought form, which I term the Reservoir of Positive Intent, or RPI. Begin by collecting pennies from either everyday transactions or wherever you may find them. On the road, perhaps. It doesn't really matter if it's heads up or whatever. That old wives' tale is just silly. Finding any money is always good luck in my book. And When you do, store them in a collecting jar. This is basically like inviting a bunch of well-intentioned friends over and telling them to just hang out. Next to it, on the objective left of the receptacle as you face it, place an open glass, chalice, or cup where you can place the pennies as you affix intent upon them, placing them into the cup, etc., as you do. Keeping with alchemical principles, I prefer to draw the pennies from the container on my right and place them into the receptacle on my left, using my left hand as I extract the static essence and potential or intent laying in the collection jar and make it active with my will. Think of yourself as the goddess Lakshmi, drawing coins from the basket of coins on your right and depositing them into a magical vessel representative of your rising power on your left. As you draw each penny, focus upon it and vocalize your expression of gratitude like a benediction upon the penny. I am grateful for my health, or I am grateful for my wife, children, pets, job, or whatever. The more specific you make your statement, the more power it shall embody. Instead of trying and tying the coin to a generality that exists in regular fashion in your life, for instance, one would hope that you're regularly healthy, tie your invocation to something that really strikes you as fortunate or something for which you are deeply grateful. See that image in your mind. Let it blaze there for a few moments in silence and then speak. Be firm, brief, and to the point. Don't embellish or get flowery. Vain repetitions are meaningless. Once done, stay focused as you redeposit that energy now combined with your own intent and power into the receptacle that is designated as belonging to you or representing you. Think again of Lakshmi holding a small vase or jar in her left hand that is now containing all that stored potential, a vessel of pure love, pure gratitude, made physical by your efforts. The materials are up to you, but I prefer placing the charged pennies into a copper cup that is inscribed with an Om symbol. For me, the continued association of copper aids in cementing the cognitive thought form into reality, and the utilization of the Om provides mnemonic relationships for me relating to the generation, operation, and dissolution of all things. You know, God. However, you can use a nice glass or chalice. Even a tin cup may prove effective. Tin is associated with Jupiter and therefore entitles one to draw upon his veritable Macht instead of the burning affections of Venus, as seen in copper, her element. Only you can be the judge as to the effectiveness and nature of your cognitive thought forms, and of course budget may also be a consideration. Some methods and means are certainly more effective than others, as has been my experience over the years, and proper materials are extraordinarily effective. But there is certainly no fail-safe method to ensure success or failure. As the cup or chalice becomes full, you can then transfer the entire portion into a larger container or permanent jar to be sealed. The process of sealing the jar is a simple one. The jar is held before you, right hand on the bottom, left hand on the top, so that your hands and consequently your arms and energy flow in the form reminiscent of the yin-yang, wherein the right hand represents that which is passive and fixed, and the left that which is active or volatile. Right hand flat and holding the jar securely on the bottom, left hand flat and on the lid. Focus all of your might and minds upon the things which you have been and continue to be grateful for. Feel the literal weight of your gratitude in your hands. Let it become real in your mind, living and thriving. Feel the weight of that rising within you as you focus all of your energy into the conductive element of copper within your hands. Let your intent and gratitude flow. Be warned, many become overwhelmed by all that is experienced and may be brought to weeping. Fear not. Tears are the very waters and substance of life. Let them flow and consider them a holy libation and anointing. Tears of gratitude can be some extraordinarily potent tears indeed. The pennies will then remain in the jar and stay wherever you place them until actually needed for something, or when you feel that their charge has finally run out, which may take a very, very, very long time, depending upon the age of the pennies, your focus, use, and intent. Often the older the pennies, the better, simply due to their time in circulation and with contact with human consciousness. But remember, the spice must flow, meaning don't just hoard your pennies. You can leave your RPIs on your altar, in a windowsill, or on a shelf or desk as a bookend or paperweight. Keep it visible, where it can be seen and consciously registered as a source or reservoir of collected gratitude and positive energy. I have had several strung about in conspicuous places of significance over the years to great benefit. You may decorate your jar in any way you choose, as long as the meaning is meaningful to you and carries with it cognitive connections which direct your mind to the positive, to joy, and to gratitude. A cognitive thought form is only as strong as the mind and the associations that mind may produce relative to the object in question. As some might say, you gots to have faith for that to work. Collect your pennies, charge them, store them, use them, and then use them. Get all your magical intent back out into the universe where another may ride upon your wave, your power. Use it for whatever you wish to use it upon. It could be for a charity, for a gift, a cup of coffee, a dozen eggs. It really doesn't matter. The fact that the currency remains flowing within the current of consciousness is all that is important. Remember, the spice must flow. Just remember, whatever it is used upon, be grateful. It's that attitude of gratitude which will lend you the spark you may need to initiate real transmutation in your life or the lives of those for whom you care.